So you can see now that we can change a variety of styles, we can add styles. What we can also do is we can add new style rules in for particular classes. So for example, if I were to add another class here, so note red, note red, yeah, you can see that when I hover over this, let's just go ahead and get rid of this, try and get rid of this. It doesn't seem to want to go. If I was to go ahead and click new style rule, I can go ahead and just set styles for anything with a class of red. So I can say color red. Okay, so let's try that again. So color red. Okay, so now I have added another class within here, so I can test this wherever I want. So for example, if I wanted to set the background color of this input field, this button, to red, I can just go ahead and click anywhere here, go ahead and, oops, not get rid of that, go ahead after this and go class equals red, enter. We've now got this attribute class equals red, and that should have made that red. Sorry, not the background color, the text color. So we now have this class here applied to this and this. So we can create classes within our page and go ahead and test them on different elements. So you know the limit here, well, there's no limit. It's endless to what you want to do. The only warning I'd say is be careful you don't refresh the page or you'll lose your changes. So we can also toggle element states. So for example, this new note, well, let's pick one. We'll say this here. When I hover over this element, you see this little button here appears. If I was to go ahead and toggle the element state to hover, you can see that by clicking this, it will bring up this X up here. Now, the reason that this is useful is you can see things like active links focusing on things. So when I hover over this, well, focusing on something, as well, this is really useful with links because obviously links have visited states, things like that. In this case, this does not have a different visited state. We could go ahead and fix that by adding a rule in to say a visited, and we could say color red, and we could click on that, and you see it toggles the visited state. So they're the element states that we can basically trigger. Now let's take a look at something else, and that's the partly sort of coming into the box model and the metrics of elements on a page. It's in this sort of accordion tab here. We can see different elements and their heights and widths and the padding within them, the borders, the margin, and the overall size of different elements. So we can already determine the size by inspecting and going ahead and looking at the width and the height of things. But we can use this metrics area to, see the padding. Now the overall size of this is 200 by 250, but we also have 10 pixels of padding. We have no border as such because this isn't showing anything. If, for example, we were to have a border, which we could actually go ahead and add in here, so we could either add it in here hard as an inline style, or we could add it to note. We could say border 1px solid and black, and that's now added a black border. In fact, let's go ahead and add this as 10 pixels. Oops. Yeah, sometimes it can get a little bit tricky to okay, so we've got a 10 pixel border. Let's go over to metrics, and you'll see that when I hover over border, the whole border highlights. So we've got the padding inside, which is 10 pixels, the border, which is 10 pixels, the overall, which is 200 by 250. We've got no margin on this because these are blank, there's nothing. So that's it. We can look at the metrics of objects, make sure they're the right size, particularly with the box model where padding will push an element's size outwards. So for example, an element with 100 by 100 with 10 pixel padding will end up being 110 by 110. So we can do that. Another really useful aspect of the Elements tab, and I know this is quite long, but these are all the really, really useful things that are going to allow you to see what you wouldn't normally on a page, is the search. So we can go ahead and search things. So for example, if I knew there was a class name or an ID name of new notes button, or new notes button, I can go ahead and search for that and it will bring up different results. So there's one of two matches. We've got a bit of JavaScript down here that we've also searched. So we've got some inline or on-page JavaScript. And there we go, we have searched and found 2 of 2 matches. Another thing to bear in mind when you are looking at the page, let's just go ahead and refresh this back to its original state and get rid of that search, is the breadcrumbs at the bottom. Now let's just say we have, let's try and find an inner element. We'll say the timestamp down here. Now you can see that the timestamp's on the end and this is highlighted blue. Now we've got, this is within div.note, so it's a div element and it has a class of note, which is within body, which is within HTML, which is the document. Body is the body area of the page, the display area, and the note here is the note that's floating around the page, and the timestamp is within the note. So it's sort of a breadcrumb trail of elements. So it's really useful to find out, if you have a lot of elements on a page nested within each other, it's really useful to find out exactly where these lie within the page. And that's another really useful point of this. There's many other things that we can do within here, but I implore you to go and have a look around and search around this. It becomes extremely easy to develop and see things like drop down option values and test things when they're selected in drop down fields. There's a variety of things that you can do with this. So that's the Element tab in Chrome Developer Tools. It's one of the most useful. It's where you'll spend most of your time as a developer, but go ahead and play around with it and you'll probably become a better developer for being able to simply get things done a lot quicker.